It was the 48 War of Independence. The Israeli Air Force, if you can call it that, had no more than 4 or 5 planes piloted by American and South African Jews. On May 30th, 1948, one of the plane's pilots, Milton Rubenfeld, watched from his refurbished German Messerschmitt as the Iraqi army advanced, moving tanks and armored personnel carriers towards the Beit Shan Valley. That was the largest army of the time. Milton Rubenfeld, a lone pilot on a lone mission, dipped his plane and began to use his bombs to attack the column, causing the Iraqi tanks to disperse and stopping their offensive on Israel. Rubenfeld's plane was hit, and he realized that he would not make it back to the landing strip. He parachuted out of the plane and landed on the beach, where he was seen by a group of kibbutzniks. They were not aware that there was such a thing as a Jewish Air Force or a Jewish pilot, so they started to shoot at him. Milton Rubenfeld may have been an Israeli Air Force pilot, but he was an American Jew who knew no Hebrew. He started to take cover behind some rocks on the beach, and he remembered a few words from his childhood. He started shouting, "Shabbos, Shabbos!" Started waving his hands, "Gefilte fish, gefilte fish!" And that was enough for the kibbutzniks to realize that this pilot was one of theirs, and Milton Rubenfeld's life was saved. There are many heroic and courageous stories from the War of Independence, but I'm sharing this story to highlight that Milton Rubenfeld's life was saved because of a common language, in this case 2 words, Shabbos and gefilte fish. Language is the way that we engage. There can be 2 Jews who simply cannot understand each other through everyday conversation. They may be ideologically, culturally, or philosophically distant from each other. But the minute they hear the words Shema Yisrael, Hatikva, Shabbos, or gefilte fish, there is an awakening. A familial connection emerges. Our rabbis tell us that life and death are in the hands of language. Just as language has the ability to create divisiveness, language has the ability to save and to transform. Language has the power to create unity in life. We can agree and we can disagree, but we have to learn how to disagree agreeably. The Jewish people are in the need of a meaningful language that can bring us together. We need a language that brings together Tel Aviv and Yerushalayim. We need a common language that connects and brings diaspora and Israeli Jewry together. And we have the power to create an inspiring language. So how do we do that? What is the syntax of such a language? First, let's define what it's not. We must not tolerate vitriolic language against any Jew, irregardless of whether they're conservative, Reform, Orthodox, or Haredi. For several years, I sat at a round table of rabbis from all the various streams, including Chabad and Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform, under the leadership of the Jewish Federations of North America. We discussed issues affecting the Jewish people. We rarely fully agreed, but we were able to work together because we all saw the greater good. Hearing rabbinic leaders speak out against Reform and conservative leadership is simply a recipe to ensure that the Messiah will never arrive. I am a proud Orthodox rabbi. I believe in Torah min hashamayim. I believe that Torah is from heaven, and that's the way I educate my students. Nevertheless, I fully recognize that even those who may think differently than me must always be our partners when it comes to Jewish activism and communal continuity. I know that my friends from other denominations are selfless in their desire to perpetuate the Jewish people, even if they have a different perspective than mine on how to get there. Those who attack people from other streams of Judaism most often don't know anything about the very people they're attacking. They ignore the fact that conservative and Reform Jews are engaged and lobby Congress to support the legislation on behalf of Israel, or that their community has contributed millions of dollars to Israel, bringing with God's help safety, security, and enabling the flourishing of the Jewish state. Here's another thing that our language cannot include. We cannot ever imply that a Jew who lives outside of Israel is any less than a Jew that already lives here. More than ever before, there are compelling reasons to make Aliyah, but ripping yourself away from family, children, grandchildren, a business, parents, and friends is not easy. Instead of judging, let's engage our brothers and sisters in the diaspora from the understanding that without them, we are incomplete. Let us engage because we have so much to learn from them. They have built communities with multiple gateways of spiritual entry, strong schools, summer camps, mikvaot of splendor, chesed networks, and synagogues that serve as social, cultural, and spiritual hubs, not limited to prayer and kiddush. Jews of the diaspora are hungry to connect, but they don't want to be preached to. They wish to be engaged. Before the corona pandemic struck, Rashon ran a program with the Israeli Ministry of Diaspora Affairs. In 26 months of operation, we sent 101 delegations to 80 diaspora communities, all with less than 5,000 Jews. We ran more than 2,351 programs, and we had over 80,000 people engage. Rashon also has 300 emissaries who are doing 3 to 5 years of shlichut in 6 of the 7 of the world's continents. We can't produce enough shlichim to fulfill the number of requests we receive. We need to train an army of shlichim with the most cutting-edge strategies of engagement, with defined measures and metrics of success. Schools, community organizations, synagogues, and college campuses need our best and our brightest. Diaspora Jewry is looking for charismatic rabbis, rabbaniot, teachers with talents in formal and experiential education. Many forms of engagement with diaspora Jewry may have nothing to do with Jewish ritual practice or formal study, but through our shared culture and Jewish pride. We are still united by Shabbos, even if we celebrate differently, and by gefilte fish, even if we also eat sushi. A shared language will contain a response to BDS, emphasizing that our startup nation has developed technology that saves lives, technology that allows the world to feed the hungry, to quench the thirst of people with no accessibility to water, and inventions which enable people who are immobile to walk again. And when our emissaries return from the diaspora, they are fluent in this common language, and we need them to enrich Israeli youth through their teaching in our schools, and to change the societal paradigm by having these returning shlichim influence our public sector. We need to use online platforms to bring Israelis and diaspora Jews together, including convening Israeli and diaspora social entrepreneurs to determine the best and next practices for Jewish engagement. We need to engage not just the larger Jewish enterprises, but the local, small, successful lay leaders and professionals who are inspiring the next generation in their towns and hamlets. Enshrined over the heart of the high priest was the choshen, the breastplate, which contained 12 gemstones, each representing one of the 12 tribes. The gemstones, like the Jewish people, have different qualities, flaws, characteristics, and breaking points. We are all different, but together we are one people with one common heritage. Let's work together to enrich our common language, to celebrate our different strengths, and build a unity that is not contingent on uniformity. Firmly committed to a partnership and common growth for ourselves, our children, the state of Israel, and for an even prouder and stronger diaspora.